think about it pretty much any time I spend money. I have a lot of anxiety around spending money because every time I do, I know that I have this like sort of insurmountable debt that I have to pay back.
By the time I graduate university, that will be $80,000. This is going to turn into an $800 bill every month.
When I lost my job, when the recession hit, I asked for help. I asked if there's any way I could lower my monthly payments.
And as of today, I owe $108,137.48 in student loans.
This student loan crisis is getting out of control, and the way it's taking advantage of people and crippling my generation is unfair.
Growing up, I had always thought a college degree was a prestigious award.
The federal government will always get their money.
I was infatuated with the idea of a lifetime achievement in earning a bachelor's degree.
43 million Americans currently have student debt.
I would ponder how I would frame it, how I would display this magnificent piece of artwork to let everyone know that I made it.
Let's talk about what higher education in America really is.
I was one of the select few who had a college degree. As the years went by and I received this award, my dreams had become a reality. Question is, now what? I go to apply for jobs, remembering what my teachers had told me. After a long search for my first job in my field of study, I found myself staring off in space, locked in a low-lit room. What do I do now? Hearing my teachers' voices as if they were right next to me, I started tapping my foot, balling up my hands and squeezing with all of my might. Scam artists, lies, betrayal were all floating throughout my mind, piercing my soul, making me feel like I was tricked. Our hands meet with a letter in her hand. You could see the stress all over my face. The mob boss tells me it's time to pay up.
43 million borrowers in this country owe about $1.5 trillion in federal student loan debt.
Since 1985, the average cost of college has risen 500%. What other business? It doubles every 9 years. Every year it increases at 4 times the rate of inflation.
This industry has been taking money from people since the very beginning, making false promises in order to draw you, the innocent one, into believing in order for you to succeed, you need a college degree. It's time we put these universities, aka big corporations, on trial, because these entities are out for one thing and one thing only. It's October 4th, 1957, and the Soviet Union have just launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial world satellite. The event was a massive scientific breakthrough throughout the entire world, giving the Soviets more pride and showing the world that they were ahead of their time. They had assembled a select educated few to produce such an amazing accomplishment. As soon as the United States heard word of this, they spearheaded into action their involvement in education for students. Not only a year later, after Sputnik 1 was launched, in 1958, the US government started offering student loans to students studying engineering, science, or education. The US believed that students were behind in education, therefore invoking a paradigm shift in providing aid with the cost of tuition. The United States can't let the Soviets be the most educated in the world. How would that make them look? They are strong, powerful, and most importantly, educated. President Dwight D. Eisenhower implemented the National Defense Education Act, signed into law on September 2nd, 1958, providing funding to United States education institutions of all levels. So it begs a question: if education is so important, shouldn't the United States move to help the students in their improvement in education alone and not in competition with another country? This was the beginning of a business that operates in the public with a facade of offering you a guarantee in landing an amazing career, or so to speak. And trust me, you haven't seen the worst of it yet. Ever since the United States government stepped in, business is booming.
Maybe you're trying to pay off the degree you've already gotten. If you feel like tuition rates have risen faster than just about everything else, you are right.
The cost of college has certainly exploded in recent years. Why is it just so expensive?
I think the student debt crisis is here with no end or change in sight and absolutely zero plan to tackle this at the federal level.
There is an exponential increase in students wanting to attend college. Universities have increased the cost of their tuition 100-fold. Let's do a comparison. The average cost of college in the 1950s was about $600. Compared to today, it has reached roughly $30,000, and that's per year. Therefore, you wanting to further your education has to take out a loan over the next 4 years minimum for a bachelor's degree. So you sign on the dotted line with your hand trembling. But wait a minute, there is no way you can afford a $120,000 loan payment. How would it get approved? You are just on the cusp of adulthood. You are jobless. Oh, don't worry, we will finance the loan for you. You don't have to pay it back until you are done with school. We don't want you to have to pay it back already while you're in school. We care about you. We want to help you further your education. The transaction has been sealed with a blood oath signed by you, the innocent one. You are now in debt for hundreds of thousands of dollars, leaving you with anxiety and stress creeping into your mind. Do they know what they're doing? They have claimed the increase in tuition is due to upkeep, inflation, and paying associates. Again, let's rewind to the very beginning statistic and ask yourself this question. Why has the increase in college been so much compared to inflation? Look, I'm all for the government stepping in to offer help with the cost of college. However, I do start to take offense when the price of college is almost like buying a house. Then you expect the students to pay for it as soon as they graduate with no job. How is this legal? How are they allowing colleges to charge such outrageous fees for tuition with no pushback? Who is in charge here? If the education system claims to care about the students and their well-being, enslaving them with a mountain of debt to start off their new life after college is not it. Oh, and you can't just file for bankruptcy. That is against the law. You must pay it back, period. Let's stop right there. How do you feel about that? Okay, hold on to that feeling because there is more. Yes, more exciting news about these businesses, colleges, that will shock you. Endowments. They are specifically known as sums of money that are invested in stocks, yielding returns that fund a portion of an institution's operational expenses and help ensure that it survives in perpetuity. Plain and simple, they are glorified savings accounts. Now let's compare some of these colleges' endowment accounts to what big corporations have in cash, some of which you probably know of. Apple, founded by the late and great Steve Jobs, has roughly $48 billion in cash on hand. The great prestigious school Harvard University has $52 billion in cash endowments. McDonald's, a very large corporation with hundreds of thousands of employees, has $1.8 billion in cash. Yale University, a fantastic Ivy League school, has roughly $42.9 billion in cash endowments. You ever heard of Starbucks? They have roughly $3.25 billion in cash on hand. The University of Michigan has roughly $17 billion in cash endowments. Had enough? Okay. Here's one more. Ever been to Disney World? A fan of Disney? They have a massive amount of employees on their payroll. Well, they have roughly $12.95 billion in cash on hand. The University of Notre Dame has roughly $18.1 billion in cash endowments. Oh, and get this. You know how everyone is upset that major corporations don't pay taxes or have a small tax bill? Now, who wouldn't want to be in the business of college? Seems very lucrative. Not to mention, colleges are tax exempt. Another fancy phrase for they pay zero. According to the IRS, because of their educational purposes that the federal government has long recognized as fundamental to fostering the productive and civic capacities of citizens, and or the fact that they are state governmental entities. In turn, states generally grant tax exempt status to organizations, including universities and colleges, which qualify as tax exempt entities under federal law. Now, who makes the laws again? However, in the business of college, they are flawed. There is one thing that can completely decimate their monopoly system. One thing they never saw coming.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world.
The death toll rising here in the U.S. to at least 36, more than 1,200 cases now reported in 42 states and Washington, D.C.
In nearby Kirkland, the Life Care nursing home has seen at least 8 of its residents die.
Just when you think everything is going peachy and life is good, these scam artists, colleges, are counting up their dollars with a big smile on their faces. But something happened that shocked the world. COVID. This disease exposed a weakness when it comes to attending college. When COVID happened, our society turned from the physical to virtual. People were having Zoom call meetings, FaceTime calls, everyone started working from home. Our world became a virtual world, and that did not sit well with these colleges. It exposed their true motive behind why they want these kids to attend their schools. There was one story about a Harvard student being forced to take online classes because of the disease. Her mother asked Harvard, "Can you lower the tuition costs since room and board is no longer needed?" What do you think their answer was? "This is a monopoly system, a business. There are no discounts. How would our profit margins look?" When going to a prestigious school like Harvard, they pride themselves in networking, face to face. But with COVID happening, the networking aspect was diminished. So what is the motive then? If the true motive of these colleges is to provide education and not a money-grabbing system, why wouldn't Harvard agree to discount the price? This is where I take issue, and I believe most of you do too. We are attracted to genuine businesses. We like to think they actually care about our well-being, helping us live this roller coaster called life to succeed in our endeavors. However, when you look deeper, when the veil has been stripped before us and our eyes have been revealed to such treachery, something has got to change. What is wrong with reducing the cost of college to at least what inflation reflects? If they claim they are not after our hard-earned money, what are they after?